Hello students, this is Mrs. Hamilton in my home art room again, and we are going to be doing another art lesson. I am missing you guys so much, and I'm missing your smiling faces, and I cannot wait when we are going to be back in school soon. But today in online art classes, we are going to be creating monster trucks. I thought this would be a super fun project to do with you today and to draw with you today. And I will also try and throw up some photos up on the screen for you to take a quick peek at, some monster truck examples, maybe give you some inspiration. I'll also try and add a link below in the details of some monster truck clips where they're jumping up and jumping off of piles of dirt and landing and crushing cars. I mean, how fun is that? We are going to be using some elements of art, of course, to create our drawing. We're going to be using lines like vertical lines and horizontal lines and diagonal lines. We're going to be using shapes to build the different parts of the truck. And then, of course, we're going to be using color. And we are going to be talking a little bit again about value of color because it really helps when it comes to making different shapes stand out when you use different values of color or different lightness and darkness of a color. You are going to be able to design your truck the way you want. I'll give you a couple examples, or I'm working on one. Actually, I did one. I didn't quite finish coloring in the video, but I colored it here because I was having so much fun. It's a monster, literally a monster truck. And also you can think about, what would you name your truck? I think this would be called the Mean Green Machine, maybe. I don't know. What do you think? Help me out with that. So we're going to have some fun today, and I hope you enjoy. And I'm going to flip the camera, and we're going to get started. I'll see you in a moment. All right, we're going to get started on drawing our monster trucks. And you can see a little bit of, see my example here. I'm going to put this away for a few minutes. I will bring it back out and let you take a look for inspiration. I also have, which will be linked up to the YouTube video, a paper that I put together that has step-by-steps on how to draw the monster truck. I actually got these steps from Art for Kids Hub, which is a great drawing site. So if you'd like to do some additional drawings, drawing tutorials, you can go to that YouTube page. They do really great work. And then I threw on this paper some actual photo examples of monster trucks to kind of help you with the design that you might put on your monster truck. All right, so I'm going to put that away for a moment. What you're going to need for materials, I'm going to be using colored pencils for my color this time. However, you can use markers or crayons. I'm going to draw with a Sharpie directly onto paper, but if you do not feel comfortable drawing with Sharpie, you can start with a pencil. And then, of course, my piece of paper, my white blank piece of paper. I'm going to make sure that my white blank piece of paper is turned landscape, or also what I call horizontal hot dog, and so that it really fits my monster truck nicely, okay? So a couple things about using if you are using the Sharpie, remember that if you mess it up, you just dress it up. And please don't worry if you make a mistake or if your shapes or lines are not perfect. This is about having fun while we draw. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're gonna draw is I'm really going to fill up my paper with my monster truck. However, you do not have to fill up your paper with your monster truck. If you want to make a little monster truck, so that you can show more of the background details, you are more than welcome to, okay? If you want to show later on your monster truck maybe jumping over something, you most certainly can. I might even do a little bit of an example just to show you how you can put it in a slightly different position. All right, so we're going to start with the wheels. Now, you could find something to trace to make the circle. I'm going to freehand it, and the key to freehanding a circle is to keep your hand and fingers stiff, not to move them too much, and to use more of your arm. So I'm using my arm to draw. Okay, and the first thing I do before I even draw, especially because I'm using Sharpie, I want to put my tires low. They're going to be big because it's a monster truck, and I tend to sort of mimic where the shape is going to go before I actually draw and how big, so I can see visually how big I'm going with my shape. So I'm going about this big, and I'm placing it right here. And then I'm going to take it nice and slow. Now, if your circle is not perfect, that is okay, I promise. My circle, though it's very close, is not exactly perfect, okay? All right, so we're going to put a little bit of space, maybe about this much space between our tires. Maybe move that just a little bit. And I'm sort of, again, mimicking where I'm going to place my circle because I want to make sure I have the right idea of how big I'm going and where I'm placing it. And then I'm going to take it nice and slow. Now, if you have a pretty bumpy circle, please don't worry because we're actually, later on when we add a little color, you can kind of dress up the mess ups very easily. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the details inside the tires. So I'm going to make another sort of medium-sized circle for the hubcaps in both of these. And then a smaller circle. Now, if you notice, as I go smaller in my circles, I do tend to use more of my fingers and hand to draw. It's those big circles that I try and use my arm. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to add some details to the hubcap. We're going to make sort of these rounded trapezoid shapes. So I start with a little line and 2 diagonals. I'm doing it at the top. And then curving it so it follows along with the shape. And I'm going to do it on the right as well. Diagonal, curve, little line, diagonals, curve, little line, diagonals, curve. So it looks like a hubcap. Okay, I'm going to do it on this side as well. The line, diagonals, curve, little line, diagonals, curve, little line, diagonals, curve, little line, diagonal. See, even my drawings get a little wonky sometimes. I'm just going to keep going because it's still going to look nice. All right, we're going to also add the tread on the monster truck. This is what grips onto things so it doesn't slide around when it is jumping and landing on the ground or that it's climbing over something. The tread keeps that from happening. And we're just putting little rectangles or little squares around the outer edge of our tire. You can do 2 lines and then close it if you like. Might take a couple minutes just to do this section. You just keep working. If you want to fast forward along, that's fine as well. Gonna try and speed it up a little bit so we can continue with our drawing. However, if you need a little time to work on this, you can just pause the video until you're ready to move on. And when you're ready to move on, you can press play. All right, so there are the treads on my tires. All right, now we're going to do the body of our monster truck. For the body, the first thing we're gonna do the undercarriage first. So I'm gonna start with a line. It's gonna go about a little higher than halfway on our tire. So if our center of our tires is right here, I'm just gonna go a little higher, about right there. And if you notice, I'm not touching the tire at all, though I'm getting very close, okay? And then we're gonna do 2 diagonals, one going up to the right, just past our tire, not too far up, and the other one going towards the left, just past the top of our tire. They're probably going to be about equal size or equal length. And you can see they're diagonal. Okay. Then we're going to do the top of the line or this section above the tire. So again, I'm going to do a horizontal line. That's a line going left and right. Horizontal, horizontal. And I'm actually not going past the tires. I'm staying within the tire shape. So I don't want to make this too long. Okay. And then I'm going to do 2 diagonal lines going downwards. These are going to probably be a little shorter. So one line is going to go diagonal down next to the tire to the right. And this one's going to go diagonal to the left, just a little shorter than the first diagonals that we did. All right, we're ready to close up a shape here. So the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add 2 horizontal lines, very short horizontal lines. And then I'm going to follow the same lines, okay? So I'm going to diagonal upwards towards the center of the tire. So diagonal up, not letting my lines touch. I'm going to go a little higher, and then I'm going to do my horizontal lines going across, and I want to actually go past the line a little bit. You see how I went past it? Just right past, just a little bit. And then we're going to pull down diagonal lines, and we're going to close the two shapes right there and right there, just like that. All right, we're gonna add some front and back bumper. This will be my front, this will be my back. So I'm gonna add another rectangle to the front, or square. It's probably more rectangular than square. Okay, just like that. So we have our bumpers. So in case it bumps into something, it might not cause as much damage. It sort of helps protect the body of the truck. All right, and then we're gonna do the back end of the truck to start, okay? So we're gonna start right where our back bumper and our top, the top of our, or I should say the bottom of the truck start. And we're gonna make a straight vertical line going upwards, okay? A little bit on the tall side. You could make it shorter. I probably went a little too tall. So I'm actually probably going to draw from here. And you know what? I'll just dress up my mess up here. So no worries. Okay. Because my example, I accidentally went a little too tall as well. So I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to do a horizontal line, and it's going to go all the way to the edge of this sort of bump, this area right here. So the shape. So all the way over and about right there. Stop. This will be the back of the truck. I could go a little bit more, okay? And then we're gonna do the front of the truck, which is where the engine sits, okay? And where our person would also sit. So we're gonna do the front. So I'm actually gonna come out about right here on my front bumper instead of right where the two lines meet. I'm gonna come out, and I'm gonna come at a diagonal. I'm gonna make a little bit of a diagonal. And I want it to be about the same height as we made the back of our truck, just like that. I could be a little bit high, but that's okay. And then I'm gonna do another line coming out for the top of the hood. And then we're gonna do where the windshield and where the seat is. So we're gonna do another diagonal going up for the front windshield. We want it to be diagonal. And then the top of the hood. We don't want to go too far because we want to make sure we're not going too far. And I'm going to bring it to about here. Okay, maybe a little further. And then straight down. And because I didn't make this line quite long enough, I'm going to dress it up and end it right about there. Okay, we're going to also add this sort of safety bar. I think it's for if you're riding in the truck, back of the truck, or you can tie something to it, or if something hits the window, it'll hit the bar before it hits the back window. So we're going to make two vertical lines. So I have one vertical line, two vertical lines, and we're going to connect with a curve. All right. And then I'm going to do a diagonal bar connecting. So we're going to do two diagonal lines. So one diagonal, two diagonal. And then we're going to draw in a little bit of the windshield, the front and side windshields, which is the glass. So I'm going to do two lines from top to bottom, a little shorter than the section. This shorter than this diagonal line. And then I'm going to curve and close like that. And then I'm going to do the side windshield or the side window. Okay, and this time I'm going to do a diagonal line next near the front windshield, and then the top of the side window and the back of the side window with a vertical line, and close the bottom of the side window with a horizontal line. Also going to add in a handle to open up the door. Okay, the next part we're going to draw is a section inside the wheel where the wheels are, where the shocks are. Now the shocks are a type of part. If you notice some trucks, when they hit bumps, they tend to bounce, and it keeps that bounce so that when you hit those bumps, it doesn't hurt so much, or it doesn't feel so uncomfortable inside of a truck or even a car. All vehicles have this, but monster trucks rely on it. It really helps them like bounce up into the air and also be able to handle the impact of falling to the ground. So we want to add those in, all right? So we're going to do the inside of the wheel section by adding a line here, a little bit of a diagonal, and a section right here, and one on this side as well. We're going to add the shocks, shock absorbers, I believe is what they're called. And we're going to do 2 diagonal lines for one shock absorber. So 2 diagonal lines, and then 2 more diagonal lines going up to the right, like that. And then we're going to do it on the other side as well. And they have these coils that kind of sort of coil shape going around it. So we're going to add some more diagonal coil lines to this. Okay. Sort of like that. There we go. And then we're going to add a step because it's really hard to climb up into this monster truck. So we need to add a monster truck step. So we're going to do a horizontal line right underneath, bring it down, making a rectangular shape. And I'm going to close it with another horizontal line. Okay. The next thing we are going to add is, if you like, is we're going to go ahead and just add a little bit of background. So of course I like to add in a horizon line. So I like to start at one end, skip my truck, come on over to the front side. All right. I also like to show a little dust kicking up where it's really moving around and driving in, because a lot of monster trucks have like these sort of dirt areas that they drive around and jump off of dirt piles. So I'm going to show a little bit with some bump lines coming right out from behind the 2 tires, kind of like that. I can even show a little bit of dirt piles just to get that idea that this is dirt. Okay. And in the background, if you want to add maybe where the seating is, maybe it's like this block seating and these small little shapes representing the heads of people from far, far, far away. Remember, things that are far away tend to lose detail and get smaller. So if you want to do that as well, you can do that. Might be kind of fun. All right. The other thing you want to think about is what kind of design will be on your truck. Okay. So you can add any kinds of designs. I'll show you a couple examples. I'll do one. I think I'm going to do my design directly with color. So I'm going to switch to color here and get started with that. The last thing that I can suggest that you can add is a little bit of the engine coming up out of the hood. Some vehicles have that. You might see some of the shapes right here and sort of a pipe where some of the exhaust comes out as well. Okay, so that's up to you if you want to do that. Okay, and in my last example, I add an American flag because that's actually, if you notice in some of the pictures, like this one, there is a flag representing the logo of the company who probably owns these trucks flying out from behind. Or I like to do the American flag because it's, you know, fun. So, but if you don't want a flag, you don't have to have a flag. All right, guys, I'm going to, here in just a second, switch over to color. I'm going to close up my marker. I'm going to open up my colored pencils. And of course, you can color your monster truck any way you like. Now, one thing I might do before I even pull out before I color with the color pencil is I might use my Sharpie to just sort of add some of that wheel detail. I kind of forgot that part. And you can just add some lines and it'll darken up the shape of the wheel. It kind of makes the wheel look like it's moving a little bit when you do this. And you, like I said, you could just switch right to color to add your details and draw in your monster truck design, or you could use the Sharpie or any kind of marker to draw in the design first. Obviously, you can see I'm not, you know, I'm just putting it on real quick, which is fine. I can go back over it with black colored pencil. All right, so the example, I did sort of this color gradation where it goes from different colors in the, or I should say it's color neighbors on the color wheel that sit next together, and I sort of blended them in to make this sort of gradient, and I made some fire. Fire tends to be a common design you'll see on a lot of monster truck and different types of vehicles to represent being fast, yeah, so, and very powerful, or, so I am going to, for this one, now you could do something like make a really girly monster truck and put like, maybe it's a flower power monster truck with flowers all over it. You could have fun with that. You could do a literal monster truck, which is kind of what I was thinking I would do with this. So I'm going to take my black pencil and let's see. I am going to add some teeth onto my monster truck, like it's ready to chomp, and maybe some monster teeth, maybe something like that. And then I could color in the inside of the mouth so it looks like it's, you know, the inside of the mouth where there's little light. That's why I'm using the black, so the teeth really stand out. And I'm going to outline that part really good. And maybe add, this could be sort of representing the eye, and maybe putting a nostril, like it's, you know, some kind of something like that. I don't know. You could be creative. And then I'm going to add maybe some spots with the darker green. Spots. Make it a spotted sort of dragon-y type of monster truck. Again, you can do this any way you feel like doing it. You can be creative in any way you like. I'm just, you know, playing on the theme of it being a monster truck. And I'm going to do the darker green for the bar in the back. Maybe a couple other details, maybe the bumper. I like to use different colors to give it more detailing. So I'll be using the lighter green to color in the rest of the truck. By the way, I will not be coloring in this whole thing in this video, just to kind of save some time. But I would love to see any of your pictures when you're done. I'd love to see you post them and share them with me and see how you use your creativity. Just sort of trying to get through a couple of these little areas real quick. And I'm going to switch over to the lighter green. And the reason why I'm doing the lighter green next to the darker green is so the polka dots will still show and it won't blend in too much. And you can see, by the way, when I use color pencils, oftentimes I'll do that technique where I'll give it a little bumper. I'll go around and kind of trace with the color pencil first and then fill, and it kind of gives me that bumper so that I don't go out of my lines too easily. So here I'm going, I'll add a little bit right here and maybe up here. Again, you can do this any way you choose. It will all look great no matter what. You can see it just sort of helps when you're trying to fill in a section to stay in those lines. Okay, I tend to, again, use my pencil pressure. We talked about this with the crayon and a hot air balloon, that the harder you push, you put pressure down, the darker the color, and as you loosen up, the color will get lighter and lighter. You can do this, like for instance, when I was doing my dirt, I did this with the brown. And what I did is I was really hard underneath the truck where there would be a shadow, But then the dust that was being kicked up, so I got really dark where the shadow would be, but where the dust was, I very lightly, I was much lighter, coloring in the dust so that you could see the dust, and the dust would kind of stand out a little bit against the darker brown, see? So you get that sort of texture. You can also push and create texture by pushing with your color. So I can make my dust look very dusty in texture by pushing a little harder. So that's one way you can create texture and detail. All right, I am going to quickly, another thing you could do is also with black, if you do not have a gray colored pencil, but you need something that is silver or gray, again, don't push so hard, be very soft and gentle with your colored pencil and it'll look gray. So this is an easy way, if you don't have a gray color pencil, to lightly color to create a type of gray. I also liked adding a little bit of sort of like a window tint so you could see inside of the monster truck, kind of like that. Okay, I'm gonna pause here for a minute and I'm gonna scooch over and grab another piece of paper, because one of the things I was describing to you all is that you could do something where the monster truck is maybe jumping over something, so, or crushing some cars instead of doing just a filled paper. So one thing you could do, the key to having, let's say the truck is jumping, it's gonna go angle upward a little bit. So when I do my wheels, first off, I'm gonna draw my monster truck a little smaller, but when I do my wheel position, instead of doing it straight across, I'm gonna have my wheels first off be a little smaller, and they're gonna be at a diagonal position, kind of like that, all right? And then again, you can add those details. I'm not gonna add in all the details. You can go through the step-by-step if you want. I'm just gonna add a few. And again, I'm gonna do all those lines again, but the only difference is that my wheels are gonna be in a different position. So if you wanna turn your paper like this, to go over those steps again, you notice I didn't do all the steps just because I'm trying to quickly show you how you can apply this in a way where you're creating a monster truck in a different spot or doing different things, okay? So I'm just sort of quickly doing, I'll do the back and then the front and then the windshield, just sort of quickly adding these details in just to get it in there real quick. Put the shocks in. Again, just being real super quick because I just want to show you. So now it looks like the monster truck is sort of flying in the air, and you could even have these like, you know, like the dirt pile. Here's the dirt pile that it's jumping off of. I don't know if that would be quite right, but you know, and maybe a little horizon line because you know I like my horizon lines. And maybe the crowd is back here. Like, whoa, look at the monster truck. Whoa. Anybody else have little stories going on in their head when they're drawing and doodling? I for sure do, especially when I was a kid. I used to have all kinds of stories going on in my head when I was drawing things. So you could really get creative and have fun with this. You can even make the mini little tiny and a whole bunch of monster trucks and maybe some cars crunched up. Maybe I would have a car right here ready to get crunched. It's up to you. I want you to have fun. So enjoy, everybody, and keep creating. And I would love to see what you make. So please try and get your parents to share it with me, or you can share it with me if you're allowed. And I can't wait to see what you come up with. All right, guys, bye.